Bruce Willis. The Hollywood icon who gave us Die Hard, Pulp Fiction, Armageddon, and so many unforgettable roles. A man whose screen presence defined action movies for decades. But today, his story has shifted from blockbuster headlines to deeply personal battles. The headlines buzzing right now? Criticism over Bruce Willis living in a separate home from his wife, Emma Heming Willis, and Emma has finally reacted. But here's the twist most people don't know. This story isn't just about tabloids digging into a celebrity marriage. It's about love, dignity, health, and the reality of living with dementia. If you've seen the thumbnail, if you've read the headlines, you might think there's some scandal here. But by the end of this video, you'll see that what's really happening is both heartbreaking and inspiring at the same time. So let's dig in. First, let's set the stage. Bruce Willis shocked the world in 2022 when his family announced he was stepping away from acting after being diagnosed with aphasia, a brain disorder that affects communication. Fans were devastated, but things became even more serious when his condition progressed into frontotemporal dementia, often called FTD. This type of dementia doesn't just affect memory, it impacts behavior, language, and personality. Suddenly, the man who once saved the world on screen was now fighting a battle that millions of families across the world know too well. And this is where the controversy begins. Rumors started swirling that Bruce is not living under the same roof with Emma all the time. The media painted it as Bruce having a separate home. Some critics even suggested it meant marital tension or a cold arrangement. But is that the truth? Or is it a choice made with love, practicality, and dignity in mind? Stick with me because the details will change the way you see this story. Before we even get into Emma's reaction, I want you to think about this. Have you ever seen how brutal the media can be when it comes to celebrity families? They'll twist anything into a scandal. But what if this time, the so-called criticism is actually rooted in misunderstanding the reality of dementia care? Drop a comment right now. Do you think the media should even report on something this private? Or do celebrities lose that right once they're in the spotlight? Now, let's talk about how this rumor even started. Reports came out claiming Bruce spends some of his time in a separate residence that's quieter, calmer, and away from constant stimulation. At first, tabloids spun it as a marriage rift. But when you look deeper, you realize that people living with frontotemporal dementia often require different environments. Too much noise, too much stress, or even a busy household can actually make their symptoms worse. So, was this about a failing marriage, or about creating a space where Bruce could have peace? And then came the big moment. Emma Heming Willis, who has been Bruce's strongest supporter, addressed the criticism. She didn't sugarcoat it. She acknowledged the chatter, but she also defended her husband with grace. She reminded the world that decisions in their family are made with Bruce's health and comfort as the priority, not for public approval. In a way, her response was more than just a clap back at the critics. It was a powerful statement about how families cope with dementia. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Emma isn't alone in this journey. The Willis family is unique because of its blended family dynamic. Demi Moore, Bruce's ex-wife, has reportedly been very involved in helping out. The family often spends time together, holidays together, and supports Bruce collectively. Imagine that, a Hollywood blended family that actually works. And here's a cliffhanger for you. There were even reports that Demi moved in for a while to help during the early stages of Bruce's condition. Whether that's fully true or exaggerated, it paints a picture of just how united this family is. Now think about this. How many times have you seen divorced families actually come together like this? Almost never. That's why Bruce's story is so powerful. Instead of scandal, it shows resilience. But of course, the media doesn't want to sell resilience. They want to sell criticism. So let me ask you, do you believe media outlets are intentionally twisting this narrative? Or do you think people just jump to conclusions when they see the phrase separate home? Let's take a step deeper into dementia care itself, because this is something Emma has become a vocal advocate for. Frontotemporal dementia isn't as well known as Alzheimer's, but it can be even more challenging for families. Doctors often recommend specialized environments, daily routines, and sometimes even separate living arrangements within the same property to reduce stress. In fact, many viewers watching right now may have relatives in similar situations. And you know how every small decision, like where they live or how noise is managed, can make a massive difference. Emma Heming Willis has been using her platform not only to protect Bruce's dignity, but also to spread awareness. She's talked about how caregivers themselves often get overlooked, how exhausting and emotionally draining it can be, and why compassion is so necessary. And here's a twist. The very criticism she faced may have actually amplified her voice. The backlash turned into an opportunity for Emma to speak louder, to share more, and to educate people who had no idea what dementia families go through. At this point, I want to hear from you. If you were in Emma's shoes, would you have even responded to the criticism? Or would you have stayed silent? Some people think celebrities should never explain their private lives. Others believe silence allows rumors to grow. What's your take? Comment below, because I'll be reading what you all say. But let's not forget Bruce himself. Beyond the headlines, beyond the criticism, there's a man who gave the world decades of entertainment, who built an unforgettable legacy. His family's decisions, whether it's about separate homes, blended family holidays, or advocacy, all point to one thing: preserving Bruce's dignity in the face of a disease that takes so much away. And if you ask me, that's not criticism worthy. That's love in action. Now, before we close, I want to leave you with this thought. One day, when we look back at Bruce Willis's legacy, we won't just remember John McClane saying yippee-ki-yay. We'll remember a man who had a family strong enough to face the harshest storms together. We'll remember Emma Heming Willis as more than just his wife, but as his advocate, his protector, and his voice when he couldn't speak for himself. So, let's turn the spotlight back on us. Poll for you. Do you think the media is too harsh on celebrity families, or is it just the price of fame? And second, do you know someone going through dementia in your personal life? Share your stories in the comments because trust me, there are thousands of people watching right now who will relate to you. If this video gave you a new perspective, make sure you hit that like button, share it with someone who needs to hear this, and subscribe because we're covering not just celebrity headlines, but the deeper truths behind them. Bruce Willis may be facing one of life's hardest battles, but his story is reminding us all about love, family, and resilience. And that, my friends, deserves respect, not criticism.